check. Hello, hello. Are? Hello, check one. Check. Hey, sound check. Hello, 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 check one. Check. Hello, 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 check one.
Shit, this C.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the day 2 of the 41st edition of the South Asian Network Operators Group Conference. Well, can you believe it that it is already day 2 of this conference, but I guess time flies when we are having insightful and very thoughtful discussions. Well, before moving forward to the day, let us take a quick trip down memory lane. Let us go back to some insightful conversations we had yesterday at day 1 of the SANOG41 conference. If we go before that, we had some amazing 4 days insightful workshops for all of you conducted. Talking about day 1 of the SANOG41 conference, well, I'm sure that each one of you, if you were in this room yesterday, you all would have left with at least one fresh perspective from our insightful conversations from our experts right here at this conference. Well, talking about our subjects yesterday that our speakers deliberated on, we had some amazing sessions. I'm sure you'll all have heard from some of the brightest minds from our industry. We had some fantastic panel discussions that surrounded around navigating the landscape of data centers to some very important and crucial technical sessions. Well, even talking about today, we have an amazing lineup of sessions and panel discussions as well, planned and curated for all of you, starting with our keynote from the Secretary of Department of Telecommunication himself, followed by an amazing panel discussion, and we have some serious sessions lined up for you in the evening with some technical sessions as well. Well, that being said, it already looks fantastic on paper, and I'm sure that you all cannot wait to witness those amazing conversations coming alive on this stage. But before moving forward, once again, I would like to remind all of you to please share all your key takeaways, everything that you get to experience here on this stage on your social media handles. Well, the online community, I'm sure, is waiting to know of all the action that will be happening right here at this conference. So please use the hashtag SANOG41 and hashtag INNOG. If you're posting any pictures, do not forget to use these hashtags and keep the buzz going. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to now move forward to the opening keynote address for the day. Well, we have with us a stellar speaker who would be joining us, though we have a video message come from him. He couldn't join us here in person, but we have a fantastic video. An electrical engineer graduate from IIT Kanpur. He holds an MBA degree from Cranfield University, UK, and PhD in economics. Well, he has several publications to his credit as well. During his IAS career, he has served in various key capacities for both the Government of India and the Government of Tamil Nadu. He has an extensive experience in policy formation and execution in e-governance, transport, industrial promotion, petroleum, and natural gas. He's also served senior positions such as Director of Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Director of Ministry of Communications and Information Technology. That being said, he's also served as a senior advisor to Executive Director of World Bank Group and has represented countries like India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Bhutan at the board of World Bank. And now that I have your attention right here at the stage, can we have an attentive round of applause for the Secretary, Department of Telecommunication, Dr. Neeraj Mittal. We have a video message from him. I want a louder round of applause before we begin with the first keynote address of the day. Can we have a round of applause? Well, we are truly honored and grateful to have that video message from the Secretary, Department of Telecommunication himself, Dr. Neeraj Mittal. And well, like Sir mentioned, it's the ultimate aim we are all looking forward to overcome challenges, like he mentioned, cyber threat, deep fakes, and to the ultimate aim, which is to make India more internet accessible. And this is the ultimate aim we all are looking forward to work towards. So again, can we have a round of applause? Thank you. So before we move to our next segment, once again, I would like to urge you all to please use your hashtags, which is SANOG41 and hashtag INNOG. You can share all your key updates there using these hashtags and keep the buzz going. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this time we move to another crucial presentation, which is on IX updates, that is tracking Indian IX ecosystem. And to present the same, we have with us the Chief Technology Officer at S2 Media and Peering Director, Mr. Rahul Makhija. Let's welcome him and put our hands together.
Good morning to all. As most of the faces are familiar, and I might be familiar to a few of you at least. So for those who don't know me, my name is Rahul Makhija. I actually co-founded the S2 group of companies, which is an ISP. We operate as AS135817, and I also volunteer as a director at Peering DB. So if you have any of the feedbacks, any of the comments, suggestions, I'm all ears. Do let me know. So starting with the presentation, I'll be sharing IX updates. So IX updates is a project that tracks IX updates in the Indian IX ecosystem. So we started this project in July 22 with the objective of tracking, of course, how the trends change in the Indian ecosystem, since this is a very dynamic environment. So let's start with it. Again, who am I? I've already discussed. I've been in the network operations field for almost 20 years now. I've been writing code for over a decade or so. And of course, S2 and Peering DB are there. What is IX updates? Continuing. Maybe I think I've already covered initial 2-3 slides in the intro only. So we actually source the information from Peering DB using the fantastic APIs developed by the team, and we put the information to persistent. So we store sort of a snapshot of the Peering DB every day, so that we can someday, that is in a web work in progress, where we allow people to go back in a date where and see how the ecosystem looked back then. How do you access the project? So this is a public dashboard accessible via HTTP. So you can log on to ixupdates.abeta.io, and the dashboard is there, and you can explore the entire options there. So again, we have been tracking the trends, and this is the graph of total provisioned bandwidth in the India across all IXCs, starting from July 22 till today, May 24, and we'll keep tracking this for foreseeable future. Then yes, there's another use case for this. It gives you a glance. So we have tried to add a few statistics that are not available otherwise on the platform, on the other publicly accessible platforms. So this is quite important for ISPs to, when they want to join an IXP, they want to know, how these IXPs are performing, and how many networks do join or leave a certain IXP is one of the indicators which plays a crucial role in the decision making of which IXP to join. Then another use case, of course, this gives us trends on which CDN or which ASN for that matter is upgrading or downgrading their capacities, so that we know kind of how the usage trends are changing, which CDN is gaining more traction than the other. Again, I guess this is the same point, helps ISPs identify an exchange with the maximum content available. So these are two examples from DECX Mumbai and ExtremeX Mumbai, and similar stats are available for all of the Indian ISPs. Then how large? So there are 147 facilities spread across 71 cities. This number is higher from the last year when we presented these stats, and I'll also show you how things have changed over the last year. And looking at the map of India, I see this positively. These facilities are quite geographically diverse. So though are a bit like metros are a bit populated, but still we have some. No, it's not highly dense geographies. So that's a positive point at least. Again, how large? There is total of 33 TBPS of provision capacity across 33 IXPs and connecting 894 unique ASNs spread across 147 facilities, and all of these networks have almost 2,000 interconnections with each other. Top 10 IXPs by number of peers. DECX Mumbai seems to be taking the lead for roughly 400 networks, followed by Extreme Mumbai, Extreme Delhi, Nixie Mumbai, and so on. Top 10 ASNs. So I personally find this graph quite interesting because it gives you, the diversification or bifurcation of the total capacity across different IXPs. Based on the AS number. So looking at the chart, Amazon.com seems to be quite evenly distributed, and so does Zscaler, while Amazon IVS on the other hand is disproportionate in terms of capacity at a particular IXP. Then Cloudflare have a little of variation. Otherwise, most of them have evenly distributed capacities. Okay, so this slide actually, this was the, actually there is a technical glitch with the laptop and I couldn't connect the slide, so this is PDF. This was a dynamic graph which showed how the trends have changed over the last 12 years, but somehow I have to manage with the PDF. So I'll try to put the slides online so that you all can access, but anyhow, I have definite numbers in the following slides. So I might have to finish a bit earlier too. Okay, so key changes in the last year. So I presented this project last year, May, where we calculated since April. So continuing from the last April till this April, so almost a year. In the last 1 year, 7 TBPS of capacity, new capacity have been provisioned across all of the IXPs. 46 new networks have joined in. 3 new IXPs have come up, and they have launched 23 new facilities cumulatively. So these are the key numbers, key takeaways from this presentation. So we see there is a positive trend. There is no decline, no capacity downgrade overall, no so we are net positive. There is no networks leaving. Of course, some of them have left, but more than that, new networks have joined in, and 3 IXPs coming up. That's again the most positive sign, which shows that ecosystem is actually thriving. IX updates the Twitter board. So as you mentioned, we track the changes. So whenever an event happens, an event could be a new network joining in, a network leaving, upgrading their capacity, downgrading their capacity, and so on. Everything is detected, and our project, like we have a Twitter bot associated to the dashboard, which tweets out whenever any event takes place. So there are a few examples on your screen which shows certain IXPs joining certain networks joining in certain IXPs, and another one is have upgraded their connections, and someone have removed their connection from some IXP, so that kind of a stuff. Every such event, any event that takes place, that is tweeted out by the Twitter board. And what other information? I guess many of these points have already been covered, but again, market share of each IXP, capacity share, like percentage market share in terms of capacity, or capacity percentage for ASNs across IXPs, whoever joins in, leaves an IXP, and all the other trends, etc., are available on the dashboard. So what we are doing on next? So visual representation of the entire ecosystem. So what this means is to, instead of numbers and graphs only, we want to draw it out, which gives you another view to the ecosystem. Maybe we might bring it onto the maps, or maybe otherwise we are just exploring it, but that is something certainly we are serious about to bring it on for the analysis of the ecosystem. Of course, the next thing we are working on is to make the platform multi-tenant, so that we are not tracking only India but other countries as well. We may start with other South Asian countries and may expand further in the future. So time travel, as I mentioned, we have been persisting data every day, so that you can go back to the date when we started gathering this information and see how the ecosystem actually looked back then. So I guess that's it. That was my time, and if anybody has any questions, do let me know, or any feedback is most welcome. No? Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi. So I'm Dibya, I'm with PCH. So your presentation only says that you take data from peering DB, right?
Yes.
So any plans on using other data?
All
Or data source? Because why I'm saying this is because I belong to an organization that gives data, right?
Okay.
So we also have data that you can use.
Yeah, I'm always open to other sources of information. So we are actually exploring data information from INNOG as well to track the ASNs that are yet to join the Indian IX ecosystem. So as we see, there are only around 900 ASNs participating in the IX ecosystem. But we certainly don't have the number how many are not participating in the ecosystem. That is something I have explored, and we can source from INNOG, and whatever source you have, we will be happy to discuss and incorporate into our platform.
Sure, happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will be keeping some open forum post every sessions. If you'll have questions, you'll can definitely connect with our speakers. Well, this is the day, this is the platform where you get to connect and share and discuss your questions with them. So yes, we can keep that questions at time post every session. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it is time we move to our next segment, which is another crucial panel discussion coming right your way. All right, so our next segment, which is a panel discussion, I believe that yesterday we had an insightful session where one of our speakers did mention that internet is no more a luxury, but it is a necessity. Without internet, it is very, very difficult to really operate even ourselves during these times. But when we talk about internet, it's also very important to talk about expansion of internet exchanges in India. Like I had mentioned that yesterday we did had some amazing discussions, and today it is time we take our discussions a notch higher. Like we mentioned, internet is very, very important in today's time. Today we take that discussion a notch higher by discussing the expansion of the internet exchanges in India. And we have a stellar lineup of speakers who will be joining us on stage to shine a spotlight on the topic expansion of internet exchanges in India. So first up, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite our moderator, To spearhead this conversation, may I please invite on stage Mr. Gaurav Raj Upadhyay to please join us on stage to spearhead this conversation, the head of WW Video Delivery Strategy, Prime Video, Amazon. Can we have a round of applause for Mr. Gaurav Raj Upadhyay, who will be leading the conversation with our next speakers joining us on stage. May I please invite Mr. Shubham Saran, the General Manager at Nixie. Joining them on stage, may I please invite Mr. Sudhir Kunde, the Chief Business Officer at DEI CIX. Our next speaker joining us on stage, we have Mr. Ronak Maheshwari, the Executive Director at Extreme IX. Next up joining us on stage is Mr. Rohit Yadav, Regional Manager APAC AMX IX. Right, so Mr. Rohit Yadav would be joining us very soon. I believe we can take the conversations ahead till then, and he'll join us on stage once he's in. Over to you, Gaurav.
Yeah, let's get them. Thank you so much. He's here, so. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Rahul, for setting up the stage here with your presentation. I think you talked about quite a few IXs, but what we've tried to do here today is to gather the 4 operator of all those IXs that you pointed out. I think while there are a lot of IXs, the number of operators for those IXs is still pretty limited. I think just the 4 of you guys, right? Few more. But these are the major guys. So welcome once again. Thank you for your time. We'll take it a pretty free format, right? And I think for a lot of the audience, they may not know your history and where you come from, and maybe give out a short, starting story. Like how did you guys get started? Very short, so that people get some context, because everybody has a different background to how you guys get started, right? So I'll start with Subham here. We'll get a mic. I think I'll just speak.
Hello. Yeah. So good morning, everyone. Thanks, Gaurav, for setting the context. And yes, it's a relevant point that we should talk about the background. So Nixie, National Internet Exchange of India, it's something which is most of the participants here know about Nixie as an organization. But it was found as the first internet exchange point of the country on 19 June 2003. That was the day when government set up this as the first internet exchange point. And since then, we have been working for the proliferation and for the betterment of the internet infrastructure in the country. And we used to be the first internet exchange, and now currently when we talk, we have 77 internet exchange point covering all 65 cities. There have been multiple milestones, the sequence of events which has happened over the years in terms of changing our or revisiting our policies to align more with the market and the global practices. And that's how we have been able to evolve over the years and cater to the Indian internet ecosystem as of now.
Thanks, Subham.
Hi. So while it was good that ma'am spelled out my name properly, so it is not DECIX, so the company's name also needs to be a part of the education. So DE stands for Doche, and then Commercial Internet Exchange. Organizationally, we go back 27 years. And in India, we've been here for more than about 5.5 years now. And started off with, if I'm not wrong, in 2019, with 74 active bays, and today we are more than 600 plus. We run an interconnection platform. That's the differentiator, where you have internet exchange, cloud exchange, and other enterprise-grade services that we offer out of the same access pod. So the ability to serve customers on both the ISP end and on the enterprise end makes it unique, and happy to let all of you all know that we got our LOI for our NLD thanks to RDS efforts by Ajay. And very soon we should be talking about a lot of things about what we want to do with that. Thank you very much.
This works. How we started and why we do what we do, it's a long, I mean, this answer is going to be a bit longer. Because of my education and career, I stayed in few countries apart from India. People hearing me? So when I was staying in UK and then subsequently in South Korea, I saw high-speed unlimited broadband packages available there, and back in those days in India, broadband was 264 kbps ISDN. We used to have modems, etc., etc. And there was a question in my mind on why we can't have similar broadband experience in India. So when I returned to India in 2010, I started my own internet service provider in Mumbai to understand the business issues, the ecosystem issues, the infra issues. And eventually I figured out that as a catalyst, we should be looking at expanding the peering ecosystem in India. This was back in 2014-15. And then this company Extreme, the three founders of Extreme, they were also having similar opinion. They had done similar changes in Bulgaria. These three technocrats were the ones who pulled Bulgaria from the bottom of the charts of internet speeds to the top in Europe. They knew how it could be done. I had certain experience, and we joined hands and we started Extreme IX. Our first IX was in Delhi. Subsequently, we expanded in Mumbai, in Chennai, in Hyderabad, Kolkata, and Bangalore. We also realized on the way a few learnings that IX point input, every city needs to be distributed. You can't have only one data center where the IX is present, because ISPs will not be able, will find it very difficult to connect. So yes, this is how we started. This is our journey. We also figured out that jump from 1G to 10G is a big jump for an ISP.
looking at what 71 cities in India with some kind of IX. What is the most hot topic, as I say? What is the most currently top of your mind topic for each of you guys? I'll go from that side this time. It's like, hot topic.
If I talk about the hot topic, basically, IX is working towards make life easier for the ISPs and you can say the content providers. From my point of view, Extreme is, not Extreme, Beckex, M6 and Nixie. All these guys are working towards make life easier for everybody right now by giving them a pocket-friendly connection, you can say, where they can compete on the current market scenarios, where broadband, the customers are getting broadband in 200 rupees at their home. So it's only possible because of the IX connectivity. Right now, ISPs, whenever an ISP starts their business, first thanks to Nixie, we as a exchange are present on more than 75 locations right now. Yeah, we all know that there are some limitations in terms of traffic and all, that the traffic consumptions on the locations have very limited right now because the consumption is on a higher side, but the capacity on a IX level is very limited. And I know it all comes on a cost. So, but the point is that IXs are taking initiative to go closer to the customer, that the ISPs or the customer get full advantages of the exchange point of view.
Thank you. I think that is good. Like, there is expansion, but expansion comes at a cost. Yeah. Right, pretty much. I think that is very well do. Ronak, coming from that way, I'm just going, then I'll open up a bit more for discussion here.
Well, hot topic on my mind is always firefighting. Some or the other thing, is breaking for an ISP. So the hot topic is basically customer education. So I'll talk about two things here. We have, in India, we have about 3,000 AS numbers which are active, seen on the BGP tables. Out of these 3,000 AS numbers, approximately 900 are connected to IX in some form. The remaining AS numbers belongs to enterprises, to universities, to fintech, banks, etc., and they have no clue what an IX is. On the ISP side, who are our current customers, they have an idea what an IX is, but then they have issues with configurations, don't know what are the right BGP parameters to set. So we have, from our current customers, there's a recent example. Day before yesterday, there was a ticket from a customer. There's a CDN which is dependent heavily on DNS and latency, and that traffic got, for some mapping issue, the traffic became, started getting delivered via IP transit. Now, as an IX, I can't do anything in this, right? But the customers don't understand this. So customer education, both of the ISPs on how BGP works, how IX works, how CDNs deliver traffic, and versus plus the new customers who are outside the IX ecosystem, which are the banks, universities, etc., to explain to them what an IX is and why should they connect to an IX. So customer education is the most important thing as per me.
Thanks.
So for us, it's always been a journey of managing the entire life cycle of a customer, right? Starting from pre-sales, sales, post-sales, and so on. So if I look at the pre-sales part of it, we've done significant activity wherein right from helping folks to get their AS number, to their licenses, to helping them with the transport layer. And I have no shame in admitting that if we became a rocket ship, one of the biggest power to make that happen was the network, which we were able to manage well. After that comes the fact that how do you make your ISP more profitable, you see? Because the kind of onslaught that we see each ISP today faces, the only way to go with somebody who's connected with us probably is the fact that you give him the power to make more money out of the investments that have already gone, because my port investment is already done for him. His last miles are already there, and all that he needs to do is to get educated, as Ronak said right now, which we do on a weekly basis with somebody like a Gazon, for example, in Pune, where he launches Gazon Cloud Connect. Not only is he able to get the power of Mumbai from the peering perspective, but also he gets the power of these enterprise-grade services, which today have changed from what I had learned in my telco days, when a company with 50 crores and above is an SME, somebody's an SMB, somebody's an enterprise. My smallest customer is out of a Mumbai office with 300 square feet with a 1 gig of AWS Connect. So one, educate. Two, make him more financially reliant so that he's able to make the right kind of capex investment in his business. And further, help the enterprises as well, as you rightly said. So I might have an Udan, I might have a Mercedes-Benz, I might have a Daimler Trucks, but I can count those enterprises on my finger. How do I go ahead above and beyond the ability to serve a few to a few hundred? And that's where my intervention of the NLD came through.
So, taking a cue out of this, first and foremost, exchange, the internet exchange. We are talking about making the overall internet infrastructure resilient. So internet exchange play a critical role. So what Ronak and Sudhir has touched based, it's related to that particular aspect only. So definitely the customer education, the capacity building, which the Secretary Sir also said in the morning in his address. So that's something which we as an exchange operators, we have to talk about that. There are two aspects, definitely looking at the enterprise, looking at the new networks which can come on the internet exchange fabric. That is something, that part of education has to happen, and which each one of us is contributing to that. The second aspect, the existing set of networks which are already connected with us. So what Rahul said or presented in his presentation, the entire stats rely upon the peering DB. Not every network which is connected to the internet exchange is updating their records on peering DB. We had a discussion related to the Internet Resilience Index also, which ISOC as publishes on their platform. They release this IR index for each country. Almost 150 countries IR index gets published by ISOC. So if they are publishing it and if they are relying upon these peering DB kind of a tools, then it's a kind of a responsibility of each one of us to update it, to keep it updated, so that the entire information which is being published is a kind of a true picture of that country. So that's one, that's definitely, the education is definitely a kind of a critical aspect. Second is the expansion part. What Rohit said in the beginning, that we are working for the betterment or the upliftment of the regional internet ecosystem. So that is something which we will continue to do from Nixie point of view. We'll continue to work on that particular aspect.
Thank you. I think all of you brought out some really interesting topic, right? I mean, there is a problem with expansion, but expansion costs money. And there are ISPs that connect but don't know how to make efficient use of it. And then there is the enterprise segment, which has a completely different kind of need. They're not really looking at peering with content, but they are most likely looking at connecting to the cloud companies or someone else. Right? So I think competing priorities. But one thing that I want to touch quickly on the data side, we were discussing this earlier during Rahul's presentation, is you know that IXs can actually update peering DB entries on behalf of their members. Have you looked at that? Any one of you guys? Each of you can take the mic.
We do that once in a while, but sometimes for reasons best known to them, they say, we are happy, we don't need that help.
You don't want
It's his prerogative ultimately, what he wants to do, right? So we offer that help. Like he said, there are times when we've had people who've taken the service, but they struggle to get the right kind of configs done, right kind of, best bang for the buck out of the services that they take from us. So you have to extend yourself beyond, cut and dry kind of a relation.
But like, Ronak, back to your question, like, I know that you've kind of gone through this process of educating and bringing a lot of new ISPs into the IX space. How have you looked at tackling that problem? Because one thing is to bring them to places like SANOG for workshop and trainings, but are you seeing that learning being sustained, or you're constantly having to do the same thing over and over again because people keep leaving?
Well, you touched on the training of SANOG and INNOG. Actually, the audience here in the training, you hardly find any Indian ISPs there. So
we need to get that fixed, yeah.
So it's irrelevant whether this learnings here is taken ahead or not. The education here is not actually, the ISPs are not coming, so education there is not happening at all. So yes, and for us, it is a repetitive task for us. Even if I have explained a concept to some ISP 2 weeks ago, probably I have to explain the same concept in the same language again this week. So this is a constant struggle for IXPs to help the ISPs understand how good configuration looks like.
It's like this is probably across all of you guys here. Like when you bring in new ISPs or members or connections to the IX, how much hand-holding do you end up doing? Especially like, hold on, this is more for the Nixie because they are the ones going to a lot of secondary tier 2, tier 3 cities, right? I mean, is there a difference in...
Just to continue the first answer, I wanted to add to that actually. See, we have a global practice called as DKIX Academy. That gentleman has got nothing to do with commercials. He's got nothing to. He will just train all the time. So we did a lot of intervention earlier, a couple of years back. I think I did it 2 years back, and then I did the Indian version of it. But the challenge lies in your ability to accept, understand, and execute from a ISP standpoint. Ke nahi aadha din bhi kyun bheju? So for them to come over, and I think virtual has become passe now. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to attend it as well. So it's about the community also realizing that that investment of 1 day of my tech head is worthwhile investment. So that's where I see myself and my team struggling. Otherwise, by now, I would have built a clone of the DKIX Academy here in India by now.
But is that a geography problem, or is this just...
It's a mindset.
Mindset problem.
So just adding to that, that particular aspect of training part, Nixie, we work extensively on the training aspect. So definitely the hand-holding which you said, we do the hand-holding, whether it's to do with the peering DB or whether it's to do the configuration of the BGP or whatever support it's required, we extend that support. And training is one aspect which Nixie as an organization has been working extensively. Almost 3 years back, we launched our own Nixie Academy, so we have multiple courses over there. We even talked about, we even launched one of the panel for the IP v6 transition. So like all those ISPs who find it difficult to transition from IPv4 to IPv6. So we have kind of a concept wherein we made IP Guru as a kind of a project wherein they can reach out and do that particular, they can discuss it out, they can have the kind of a complete hand-holding in terms of moving from IPv4 to IPv6. So these kind of training programs, it's a regular feature. On a monthly basis, we run regular programs. We run it through EPNIC also. Every quarter, we run a training programs, kind of a hands-on. And we have seen a good kind of, a good amount of traction coming in. Definitely what Sudhir said, that devoting a kind of a half day, it becomes a kind of a challenge for the ISPs. But yes, we have seen that the hybrid mode or a virtual one has got a good traction. We almost see kind of a 400 kind of a participants coming in from all networks. It's not only the ISPs, but the enterprise also which come and participate in these training programs.
I think this is worth a conversation with a broader group of people. Maybe SPI, INNOG might be interested along with SANOG to approach this, because it seems like there is a gap. Have a mic somewhere? I'll just give you one of these mics.
Thank you. When we are discussing about uptake of internet exchanges by ISPs, see, the ISPs have got the costs in respect of their outdoor networks, the equipment, and the upstream bandwidth. So when they are examining the business case for joining any IXP, how much of the benefit they get out of the upstream bandwidth, the cost, how much they can reduce. That is one of the primary considerations. And like Google goes and at a certain size when any ISP achieves, Google goes and puts their server over there in the earlier old days. So internet exchanges, if they can reduce substantially the cost of the ISPs for the upstream bandwidth, because that is where they can help in getting the content at a very low price. That is the relevance of IXPs insofar as the ISP community is concerned. And if that business case can be made, then it is a win-win for them at the cost of the carriers who provide the upstream bandwidth. But that is how I see the role and the expansion of internet exchanges in India. They cannot help in terms of the broadband proliferation, the last mile, whether it is data centers or whether it is IXPs. ISP has to do all that dirty job of going to the fiber to the curb and all those things. Similarly, the equipment and all those hassles, ROW, ISP only has to face. So this is my take from the ISP community on what is the relevance and how it can be done.
You're actually bang on. You see, that is one of the reasons why he's got X customers, I've got Y customers, he's got A customers. So when I make a representation to a newbie, I tell him that by onboarding, even at a 1 gig, and I don't want to go too deep into the commercials, you end up saving 92% of your pure internet bandwidth, as it is called in the community.
That is what is the relevance, actually. Actually, if you see, when the NIXI started, the first aim of the NIXI was to keep the domestic IP traffic within India, and it should not become the part of the international bandwidth, which goes to international shows and then comes back. So from there, when the NIXI was formed as a meeting point of the ISPs, NIXI itself has forgotten its charter and has now become, is now competing with the other internet exchanges, and rightly or wrongly so, whatever way it is. I don't want to comment on that. But yes, now the relevance is how much of the cost reduction you can give.
The actual challenge, you see, I'm responding to him.
There.
Yeah.
I think this conversation is fine. I think the basic concept with the IX is you have to save money. I think my question is more on the follow-up with what these guys are bringing, is once the ISP is connecting, they will not connect if there's no business case. That is understood. You know, there is no conversation around that. The problem is, even if they connect, there is still a problem. That's what there is identified, is the education of the engineers. You know, the business, like you as a business person will make a decision saying, hey, Sudhir gave me a good deal, I'll connect, right? But are the ISPs also investing in making sure your technical people are able to maximize the connection at this That is, I think, what the concern that Ronak brought up was you connect, and then they can't maximize, right? I think that is what conversation might be relevant for.
That is what in the training domain of you people, there you will have to do it, because it is your service which you have to optimize as a delivery mechanism to the customers.
Yeah, and in that one, I think there is where the cooperation is needed, and maybe even cooperation between the IXPs in terms of training people. Because I remember having to do that a long time ago to go and teach people how to do BGP, right? Like for a long time.
Most of the ISPs are category B or category C. Category A people take care of them either when they talk to the peering exchanges also they have got some sort of a upper hand being a customer. Where the hand-holding and the support is needed is more at the state level ISPs. And there the NIXI is doing some good work by going into the states. So that kind of support is definitely needed.
Sir, Ronak, hold on. I need to have one point here. So hand-holding, sir, whether it is category A, B, C, sometimes non-ISPs also are ISPs, operate as ISPs. The hand-holding starts right from the point where, handholding starts from identifying the nearest BTS, and who is the proper provider, who would be a stable provider in that area. The hand-holding starts from there, not after the connectivity. The hand-holding starts from, it's a project to get an ISP connected to an exchange.
Yeah, I agree with that. See, what happens is like what NIXI has done, number of internet exchanges connected by their own NLD, and therefore they are somewhat bearing that cost also. So a model has to evolve. A model has to evolve on those lines if you actually want to see what you are saying is what market wants from you. So whether you can come up to that stage or not is what you have to decide.
I think I'll change the direction here. I think whether an ISP connects to an IX or not, I don't think we want to litigate that here because there's a lot of issues. That I say is a business decision. Ultimately, you might say, there was actually a discussion around this around 10 years ago, is sometimes the cost of running an IX or connection to an IX is higher than just paying a carrier. Then you might just say, I'll just pay the carrier, go away. That is 100% a business decision, right? But I think what I wanted to focus on here is when people actually connect, then what? Then how are we helping them? Is there a problem? People actually decide to connect, yes. When people
the problem starts when they decide to connect.
Back towards that. So I think I'll actually go back. I know with all of the IXs here, outside of the big tier 1, tier 2s, how is NIXI helping with that or dealing with that in this 75 cities you are in, tier 3, tier 4? Because I think that is where the problem is even more acute.
Right. So when we expanded this internet exchanges to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, what Praveen sir was saying, definitely that's the requirement of the regional ISPs. And the basic requirement which Praveen sir has mentioned, that they are looking for the optimization of their operational cost and the content delivery right at their doorstep. These are the two aspects which the ISPs are looking for when they pair with an internet exchange point. So that is these are the 2 points which we are trying to solve, or which we are trying to deliver as a value add to the regional ISPs by expanding these to tier 2 and tier 3 cities.
Now I'll flip around and go to Sudhir. What is your experience been? Because you have the largest number of connections in Mumbai, like 400 plus, which is double of, I think, the next one, which is the extreme one, right? Like, so how do you get to that?
So I have a little bit of a different take on it, and again, at the cost of sounding repetitive, as we coined the whole idea of having the entire life cycle in place. You see, pre-sales, sales, post-sales. So whether it is finding licenses for him, we'll help him. 1, 2, the spread. So I have customers who come in from Mizoram, I have customers who come in from Assam, and I have to struggle with my friends in the telco to get them here. Now, cut to the example that you spoke about. That kind of a model has to have a financial implication and a sustainability, because this business, I have seen, when a customer onboards with you, a mid-sized customer, he'll come to you with a probably 1 gig, 3 gig, 5 gig. And then immediately it's a 10G port or a two 10G ports. And then the math goes for a toss. So if you really want to be there where the customer is and expect him to pay only 12,000 rupees a gig, who manages the 7 lakh rupees for the transport layer, and how much ever you want to bring it down, like we did for one of our availability zones. So I'm very clear with how do you want to define an internet exchange point as well. So with one of our data center partners, we said we will not declare it as a POP. We will help you get the right kind of prices which are unheard of in that time, and got Bangalore and Hyderabad lighted up at a significant cost which got offloaded to the customers as well over there. That was the benefit, but that was an intervention from a corporate. But as I alone would, or maybe even any organization for that matter, would not be able to sustain the reach at free of cost. So that is where we have the
maybe we need to think for the concept of this discussion. I think we're pretty clear the IX is a local layer 2 exchange.
Yeah.
And I will not agree with a long haul linked service provided by an IX being part of IX service. That is a separate service. Like that is more like a carrier
absolutely
service, right?
Yeah, it's an
IXs
availability
are
zone.
Definitely a local layer 2, pretty well defined by now. I don't think we need to debate on that topic, right?
You know, that we've tied up with an organization because of an NDA. I won't give you a lot of dope on it, but we're already talking about edge pop deployments. We spoke, some organizations speak about it yesterday as well. So while the data center spoke about it, if you look at the private players, they built an entire India fabric, obviously on borrowed fiber, and they're doing 4 POCs in the north of India, is what I can tell you. But it has taken 7-8 months for them to figure out how do we make a ROI-based case. Because an internet exchange, cloud exchange, and the whole piece being there will only make any edge pop deployment eventually a reality from a conceptual part. You have a 5G, you have an AI, you have an IoT. It's the heart, the brain, and the hands, if you want to call it that way. But what is it that puts it all together is the digital triangle that we bring to the table. So while there are a lot of developments that are happening today, the biggest factor is how does any IX, for that matter, in its true form, become a viable proposition for them and go nearest to the customer and the data consumption.
Let me ask you a question. You think the IX is for the ISPs or the IX is for the IX itself?
It's for the ecosystem, right?
No, a straightforward question.
Straightforward. Absolutely.
It is for the IXP itself. That is your mindset. What is your mindset? What is the IXP for?
Definitely, it's for the overall internet infrastructure, the digital ecosystem of the country. It's for the digital ecosystem.
Do you operate an IX for your members or you operate it for yourself?
So we operate it for the members. We definitely operate it for the members.
What about yourself?
I have difficulty in understanding the question itself.
How are you thinking about your IX operation? Is that based on what your members are or your customers are demanding and need, or you're thinking, I need to do this and keep on expanding your business? Because there's definitely aspects of it where IXs choose to grow with their members.
Isn't it about win-win? I mean, if there is a win for my customers, only then I will be able to win. So it's a demand and supply kind of thing, isn't it, like for in every business? So I really am not able to understand the question itself, I mean, honestly speaking.
I think it is about whether you are growing. Yeah, timing factor of that is whether you are going out and trying to create an IX business in the market where there's no need, or you are creating the need with the members. Like, where is your growth coming from? Your members are demanding you to grow, or you are deciding to grow yourself?
No, the growth is coming because of 3 reasons for an IX. From the current customers, so the broadband user on an average was using about 1 Mbps till about 2015-16. The same broadband user is now using 3.5, and it is expected the same broadband user will be using 5 Mbps in probably in a year and a half. So this is growth because of data consumption per broadband user. And because IX supplies most of the content, so IX gets this upgrades from this ISP. So this is one aspect. 2, the number of ISPs are growing. The more AS numbers are we find appearing from various cities. Sometimes it is remote, where Nixie is doing a great job. For us private exchanges, it may not be business feasible to start only for 2 AS numbers in a city. So Nixie there comes into the picture. But for us, so I talk about the city where we are operating in, Delhi, Mumbai, etc. So we figure out where are about 10 to 15 AS numbers in a particular area, and we create a POP there. Because for these smaller ISPs to reach data centers, ordering cross connects from rack to street, etc., this is a task, and they don't have the wherewithal to do it. So we solve it for them. We go in these cities, we go as close as possible to them. So the growth is not only coming from remote cities where Nixie is operating, it is also coming from the same cities where we are operating, but in a smaller area.
Okay, that is actually what I was looking at, is to see where you are really, because the topic of expansion, we've kind of looked at what we're talking about, and what you are talking about, right? Is, are you going to keep adding more cities, or are you going to keep on adding more SN, but they are still in a bigger cities? And that is always a very interesting thing. One more.
Yeah. I want to say something here. So basically, from my point of view and M6 point of view, like M6 not started Delhi and Chennai yet, because we are thinking that by creating more competition in the same market will not make the ecosystem better. Because in Delhi and Chennai, already 3 IX are present. There is an ecosystem already present. If M6 also starts Chennai and Delhi, this will not create any difference on the current scenario or current. We are just making a more a competition to the other IXs. Rather than that, we will create our focus on any other thing or any other city to make the ecosystem better, I think. So for me, IX is all about making ecosystem better rather than the demand and supply you are talking about.
Okay. So you want to say something?
To your question, to get more clarity on how you are supposed to interpret it. See, one is the depth of the market and one is the width of the market. So the depth comes in, as Ronak has said, by going far, getting them to reach you as much as possible, going as close to them as possible with our own workways. One is the width of the market where you are currently serving. So there are a lot of, with due respect to those guys, they are all our customers, large guys who have small sub-operators under them. So these guys, and the PIN business is a different story, so I don't want to talk about it. But that's where some people get frustrated, because if not before COVID, after COVID, roti, kapda, makan or internet ho gaya. Roti nahi milegi chalega, internet chahiye. And that's the place that we've seen people have broken away from those guys who've not been able to give the right quality of service delivery, service assurance, and the scalability of that guy goes down the drain irrespective of the investments that he's made. So we've seen a lot of guys in mini metros come to us who were earlier dependent on a big gun, managing everything for him and making life so-called easy for him at that point of time. When the realization draws in, the width of the market increases in the existing market.
Thank you guys. I think we have 5 minutes. I can open up.
One more point, Gaurav here.
I see one here. I can't see anyone due to the light. So I see a hand, Anurag, and then I see Anupam and then Anurag. Okay, 3. Yeah. I think that is Anupam, right? I can't. Yeah. But no, wait, Anupam.
Yeah. So in terms of the width of the internet exchanges, we are even pulling SAC traffic in our internet exchanges. So that is very interesting that you are becoming at least a SAC regional kind of a traffic hub.
Thank you. Anupam, Anurag, right?
Hello.
Yeah, Anupam, you can go ahead. Well, Anurag is getting a mic. Your mic got taken away.
Didn't meant to do that. Thank you, Anurag. I think we are discussing a fantastic topic, Gaurav. But Secretary Mittal in the morning asked for recommendations. Okay. So can we discuss a little bit about whether or not a license is required for an IX to operate in India? This is possibly one of the most vital things required to see further growth or expansion of IXs in India. There is absolutely no clarity. So what do these people on the stage, who are the brilliant people covering nearly 90% of the market in IX in India, what do they feel about this one? Should there be a light touch regulation? Should there be a regulation? And whether or not this is going to help in expansion? Thank you.
Thanks. Anurag?
You may want to answer his question. My question is completely unrelated.
Okay. Who wants to take that? Ronak, you want to take that?
So touching on the licensing aspect, I for one believe we need to look at a licensing framework completely. And when I talk about licensing, I think the only things that need to be licensed are which use scarce resource like spectrum, for example, or coal for that matter, or things which affect life and health. So water supply, food, and running copper wires, these can affect your life and health. So only these things should be licensed. The rest of the things, there is no requirement of a license. Yeah, general authorization maybe, but there is no requirement of a licensing. So I believe that we need to look at our framework of licensing and simplify it further to an extent where to start some FTTH broadband business, nobody needs to bother about taking a license. There can be general rules that if you are doing to do this business, you need to have these check marks in place. That's okay. And then there are other sections of law which can handle whatever happens. But why do we require somebody who is providing fiber to the home to take a license? So my answer to your question is, whether you need a license, no, you need to have a framework which automatically tells you whether this business requires a license or not. We don't have in India, we don't have that present. Coming to your specific question, whether internet exchange requires a license, well, everybody knows here that I am having a writ petition in Delhi High Court, and it is sub judice, and it's a public petition. Everybody can read through it, but we have given our points with respect to current licensing framework. Also, IXP does not require a license.
Any other comments on that?
So, well, there are two aspects to it, as you said. One is, yes, from a service provider standpoint, it definitely requires a relook, because while we are at paucity of time, if you look at the subscriber base, the way it is growing, internet becoming more important for you, out of 6 lakh villages, we've still been able to cover 2,60,000 villages. So there is huge room for growth. And from a financial standpoint, anybody who wants to grow will have a financial consideration when the licensing part comes into place, and we leave it at that. It's not our place to define what the fine minds in the government think in terms of whether an internet exchange or an interconnection platform like ours should or should not have. We would be more than happy, because we always keep using the hashtag ease of doing business, because that's how one of our mantras has been to get to where we are today. But as I said in a lot of forums, when it was a gray area, we chose the white out of, and not that we were sitting on tons of rupees, but if that's the way the cookie crumbles, that's the way the cookie crumbles, because there is a lot of mission critical application that some of our customers would be serving, both, since we serve both sides, enterprises as well as, that's where our take is as of now. We're more than happy to see liberalization in any form, whether it is a last mile provider or whether interconnection platforms like us.
Thank you. I don't see Rahul wants to make a comment. Shivam, you want to make a comment on that?
So on the licensing part, like this is something to do with the regulator. There have been few consultation papers around it, and each one of us has contributed to that. So everything is in the public domain. So there's nothing new to add.
I think from a more global perspective, I don't think I'm aware of IXP licensing anywhere in the world. The way IXPs are defined as a layer 2 traffic exchange platform. I think that's just for reference, because this has come up in other forums as well. In some places, IXPs, in the name of internet exchange, people do other things like sell internet or sell other services. And then obviously, then they need to meet whatever the local requirements are. But for a pure play IX, I personally am not aware of any kind of regulation required anywhere in the world. Again, if people are using the name internet exchange to sell something else, that is a different story altogether.
I would like to make one more point with respect to licensing. There's draft national broadband mission in the works, and from what I've heard, it says that the government wants all households in India to connect to fixed broadband. Now, if you look at history of last 27 years with the licensing and regulations in place, we have been able to connect 3 crore houses on fixed broadband. If we continue with the same licensing framework, will we be able to connect another 27 crore houses on fixed broadband in the next 5 years? Is the question that we as a community should ask.
It has been a gray area since beginning in the licensing regime. But what you need to see, if you see from the voice side, a local exchange is there, then a domestic exchange, tax is there, and the international exchanges. That is all the traffic routes. For a data services, internet, local internet, then it goes and peers and goes out, traffic goes out, or whatever. So if you see from that context, this undefined gray area is a stand which DOT has taken, or stand which Ronak has taken. My feel is that, and there are nuances, Nixie was also asked to take a license, and still they haven't signed the license, but there's something going on between Nixie and DOT. Because this case is sub judice, My therefore request is that in a matter which is sub judice, one should stay hand in giving any recommendations on a topic which is already pending adjudication.
I think I agree with that. So we'll move on from this topic. Anurag, I think that's probably another 2-3 minutes.
Thanks, Gaurav. Anurag Bhatia, Hurricane Electric. My question is in the context of having more exchanges, and I'm not referring to connecting existing exchanges or essentially expanding the connectivity. This is more for, as our friend from AM6 was saying, he wants to essentially look after having more exchanges in different cities where they are already not present. Now, when you go for that, essentially you're looking at the elephant in the room, which is content, because you have ISPs in these small cities. There is demand from the eyeball side, but you do need content in these cases. Now, when a content makes a decision, they are essentially looking at 1, latency, and 2, capacity point of view. From latency point of view, majority of cases it's not a problem anymore, and that's the harsh reality. Majority of content players can now deliver, they are okay with the latency of anywhere from 30 milliseconds to maybe 60 milliseconds, and they can reach majority of Indian users at this point of time with that sort of latency. Next comes the part with the capacity. So having exchanges in the small cities makes more sense in terms of having that sort of burst capacity, having that sort of high capacity which you can't deliver if you're serving content out, say, from Chennai all the way to somewhere, say, in Delhi. So with that context in place, what do you think about having more exchanges in smaller cities? Will that work? Will that not work? And the question also applies to, the question also goes to you, since you're the only person as a content player in the panel.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'll not make a comment on that because I want these guys to speak up. Maybe we are going to run out of time. So maybe as answer to Anurag as well, maybe do you want to give your thoughts on what the expansion looks like next, while also answering what Anurag asked right now, is what is specific to second tier cities. And maybe I'll start from this side.
So definitely opening up of the internet, as Anurag rightly mentioned, that the content is something which the ISPs are looking for. And by the whole idea of expanding to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, we want to make that regional internet ecosystem self-sustainable. That's the whole idea. Until unless you showcase it to the content players, if you don't give them the eyeballs which they are looking for, they'll not come and host it locally. So that's the whole objective under which we are expanding, and we'll continue to expand, and we'll showcase it to the content players which we have exhibited in at least 3 or 4 cities and locations. That now it's a kind of a self-sustainable setup which they can have locally in order to help the regional ISPs and the regional players over there. So we'll continue in that particular expansion mode. But yes, we have to be selective. We have to be more of realistic in terms of choosing the new locations.
Are these new locations having any content, by the way, or it's mostly transported from existing?
So we have a mix of, as of now. So the whole idea is to enable the regional ecosystem. That's the whole idea.
So from a pure definition of interconnection location, right? Look at Calcutta, for example. Forget about the B, C, D. Look at him, look at me. Where are we? We've invested 5 years back. So that's what I'm saying, boss. There is a commercial play which we've invested ourselves. Now, from a community play, the B end also needs to be there. It takes 2 to tango. The ISPs, I mean, I can shamelessly tell you, I have some 58 odd ISPs who take the long haul and come to me from east of India to Mumbai or Delhi as per their preferences. And I slog it out for each one of them to bring them the least common rupee that they need to spend with my transport partners, right? So that is where I think it's a 2 to tango game that we need to start playing now, that we've done our bit. We expect the big guns to do their part also, and wait for a little bit time in a imploding country like India to see results come in. Typically today what happens is, I will come in today, but I want to see results as of yesterday. Patience is a virtue that in these days is not there with a lot of us. So that is something that is required if we really want to grow this business. And we are there where it is required, but we need the other set also to play the game with the thoughts that we played.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, what he wants to say basically is the ISPs need to look at it as their investment when it comes to investment in their future, when it comes to connecting to us in a smaller city. But it's two to tango is a good word, but I think it is here three to tango. So the CDNs also need to play an important part.
CDNs की बात कर रहा हूँ. When I said the big guns,
yeah.
not to name anybody.
Yeah, so what we are, Anurag, what we are seeing happening with respect to CDNs is their threshold of giving caches, the traffic threshold has increased significantly. So the cities which were going to make sense for starting an IXP about 3 years ago, no more make sense because the CDNs are not going to participate in by sending caches to that city because the traffic profile of that city is not enough for them to send the caches. So this is a catch-22 situation. How do you go out of it? Yes, Nixie is well funded. They are having charters from the government of India to do what they are doing. They can burn money, but we are private people. We can't burn money. We don't have that kind of money.
If we talk about the other city rather than Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, if you see like 5 years back, there is nothing in Chennai as well. Only 1 or 2 content providers are present. I think the city is having more than 15 ASN sustainable to start an IX location because in like 2 years or 3 years, maybe they can attract the content providers as well for that locations. Right now, I know the things will work on the transportation only, but in the coming years, definitely things will change. Like from last 7 years, it get changing.
Thank you very much. I think we're out of time. And I agree with Anurag's sentiment that, it's going to be a gradual game. It's always going to be a chicken and egg where who builds. And I like what Rahul said. Maybe that is the thing. If there are 15 ASNs, maybe somebody needs to go and, help them set up an IX. Maybe not a commercial IX, maybe a non-commercial IX or something, or Nixie or someone. And that is probably be the one factor that attracts content people to go together. And not all content people will go at the same time. It's going to be their own different ways of doing things, right? I'd like to summarize this. Thank you very much, all of you. I think it's pretty obvious that this expansion is not going to stop. There is a big question about what happens in tier 2, tier 3 cities, because that is kind of the gap, one big gap coming up. Maybe we'll see another inflection where we see a lot more happening in those cities, because 20 years ago it was just Mumbai and Chennai, nothing else was there, and then suddenly we got more metros, and then in 2015 we got all the private operators that most likely made Nixie change all its antique policies as well. Then I think one takeaway I do take away is that there is a need to still educate people. The IXs, the commercial IXs are doing a good job of bringing them into the system. But even once they come to the system, how do you make this useful? How do they maximize the utility of it? And things like that. That is, I think, something maybe the community here, the ISPI, INNOG, SANOG, the IX operators can jointly think about how do we educate more? And how do we bring more people to that fold is very important. Otherwise, they'll connect, they'll get dissatisfied, and they'll go back again to their old ways. And that generally is not a good thing, because then there is money already wasted, right? I think those things are what I take away, right? And I do see what Sudhir said about the operators eventually have to make money. Otherwise, there is no success to the ecosystem, it will fail. And at the same time, Nixie has a mandate from the government that they can invest, right? I think there is an equal, dimension there that should create a much better, healthy ecosystem for the whole country in India. And just to go back, Nixie started in 2003. I can say I was there back then, and then a range of new IXs started in 2015. Hopefully, the next, phase of this does not take 12 years. But it's almost 9 years now, 2015 to 2024. So maybe it is time that there'll be a next phase of IX expansions coming up in India. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Gaurav, for leading that conversation, and to all our speakers for keeping the discussion so engaging and taking us through the landscape of expansion of internet exchange in India. Can we have a round of applause one more time for that invigorating discussion? Thank you. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we break for 20 minutes for a tea and a networking refreshment. So I would urge you all to please join us back at 12:05. We also have our exhibition booths right at the second floor. So I would urge you all to please have a look at the exhibition booths, connect with our exhibitors, and I'm sure they will be more than happy to offer their offerings to all of you. And I would urge you all to please join us back sharp at 12:05. Thank you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we're all set to resume with our 41st edition of SANOG. Well, we have another few lineup of amazing presentations coming right your way. So may I request everyone to please join us back in the ballroom. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you all had a good time connecting over tea and coffee, and I hope that you all are making the most of connecting with our exhibitors in their at their exhibition booths, connecting with them for their offerings. And yes, I'm also hoping that all your updates are on your social media handles with the hashtag SANOG41 and hashtag INNOG. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we move to our next session, a very crucial presentation, I'd like to again invite on stage our previous panel that we had. May I please invite back on stage Mr. Gaurav Raj Upadhyay, Mr. Shubham Saran, to join us back on stage. Well, we missed, apologies, we missed felicitating you all, but it's always said that better late than never. So I would urge you all to please join us back on stage. Well, the insightful discussions that you all had on stage, it is our duty to, yes, felicitate all of you. So may I please invite back on stage Mr. Gaurav Raj, Mr. Shubham Saran, Mr. Sudhir Kundir, Mr. Ronak Maheshwari, and Mr. Rohit Yadav. And I'd now like to invite Mr. Dibya to join us on stage to felicitate all our speakers with a token of gratitude. Well, a token of gratitude, a token of appreciation from us to all our panelists who shared their key insights with us on expansion of internet exchanges in India. Well, the applause must be louder. I'm assuming that we had that dose of caffeine coffee which brings us so much energy. A round of applause once again. Thank you so much. May I request you all to please come together for a quick photo op. Thank you. All right, and now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time we move forward to our next very crucial presentation. And joining us on stage, the next presentation that we have is indeed a very lucid and a vital presentation on licensing and compliance of Indian ISPs. I'm sure a conversation, a presentation none of you all would want to miss. And to have the presentation on stage, we are honored to have with us the head of licensing wing of ISP at DOT HQ DDGDS, Mr. Kishore Bhaktani. Can we please welcome him with a round of applause? It is indeed a privilege to have you, sir, and address this August gathering.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this session. First of all, I thank ISPI for inviting me for this particular program. It was really, I would say, it added quite a bit to my understanding of the things. I was witness to both the presentations, all the presentations, and the group discussions which happened today and yesterday, and they were, as usual, very enlightening. So thank you for that. Now I'll talk about the licensing part because that is the part that we deal with. Before we jump to these compliances which are expected from an ISP, there's one very famous adage in Spider-Man movies. You would have heard that with great power comes great responsibility. It's quite true with an ISP also. You have got a great power because you're giving connecting the unconnected, and then all the good things said, going to the rural areas, providing them internet and roti, kapda, makan, and then internet. Yeah, that's all true. But that is the power you have. But with that comes the greater responsibility also, which is expected from you as a part of compliances, which are very clearly mentioned in the license agreement. And so we'll just talk about that, and we'll also talk about what are the license compliances that are required. We'll also talk about what are the major non-compliances we at DOT headquarters observe that the licensees are making, which eventually results in issuance of show cause notices and that, and leads to an unpleasant situation which may even lead